is Wednesday, October 15th. Our first item that we need to look over is the minutes from the September 22nd, 2025 meeting.
This was a fun one. Will we approve the 9/22/25 minutes?
Okay. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those minutes are approved. Next up, we have a new applicant, Adventure Charter Service. Detective, you guys want to give us some background here?
Yes, sir, Chair. Adventure Charter Service has met all the requirements to move forward. The owner is Shatara Haywood.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Come to the lectern and tell us what you're doing.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We are a motor coach carrier here in Birmingham, and we provide service for Birmingham City Schools, and most of them been contacting us, wanting us, to get, approved to transport them because they said they only have one carrier, and they've been charging them outrageous prices. And we've just been trying to come in, to try to balance that out and help a lot of these schools because some of their budget is not as big as what their companies want, charging them.
Okay. So you're working with the school system specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
They've been contacting us left and right, wanting quotes, because they wanted to cut their prices,
All right. Does the committee have any additional questions?
No questions. I move we send this to full council with a recommendation to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes, so this will move on to the full council for consideration.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, next up, we have a fiber optic franchise agreement with Lumos Fiber of Alabama. Attorney Stanley is going to present.
Good afternoon, Jim Stanley from the Office of the City Attorney. If it's the committee's pleasure too, we have a representative for the next fiber optic agreement on the agenda. The agreements are virtually the same, so in order to preserve his time, if we could bring him up next.
Yes, absolutely.
This is United Fiber Gulf Co.
Okay.
Just a quick overview. These are fiber optic franchise agreements. We've worked to kind of modernize and standardize our agreements, many of which go back 20 or 30 years, and there was a lot of disparity among the agreements. So what we've been trying to do is make the agreements more uniform to be more fair to the providers. So if you have any questions about the agreement itself, I'm glad to answer those. If not, I'll let Mr. Gallagher, who's the representative for the provider, also address you.
Okay. I just have some general questions about the agreements. So what are the terms of the agreements?
Yeah, they're fairly standard. The maximum term, and this is a state law limitation, would be 30 years. So these are for 20 years with 2 5-year extensions. The payments to the city of a franchise fee are based on 5% of the gross revenue, and there's a definition for what that includes and doesn't include in the agreement. We have standard provisions that address coordination. So what we've seen in the past sometimes is the city will have a street paving project, we get the paving in, and then a provider is able to come in and needs to dig into the right of way. And the new paving is kind of, by the wayside then. So we try to have regular coordination on that. And I think in Unity's case, they're not looking at doing a lot of new installation. They've got some fiber in place, and again, Mr. Gallo could explain how that works. But we do address those things. We address insurance, indemnity requirements to protect the city's interest, requirements if there are repairs made to fix the streets, to get all the necessary permits. And it's really fairly standard as far as those things go.
Okay, what about small cell towers? Is that covered?
These don't address small cells, and, you know, small cells, through the FCC and now the state of Alabama have largely preempted what the city does on those. We do have a permitting process pursuant to the ordinance we adopted 4 years ago or so. That covers small cells.
Okay. And with regards to, you know, do the terms of the agreement also cover, you know, maintenance of the right-of-way where the utility is installed, you know, and I'm thinking specifically about when they're using directional drilling to install some of these cables, they don't necessarily, you know, have to do any street excavation.
Right.
It can be completely within the right-of-way and not interfere with the pavement. So are those types of considerations included in the agreement?
Yeah, all of those issues have to be covered, and the permitting process also covers a lot of that as well. But the city should be protected there. You know, I guess enforcement would really be the question. I think the agreement and the permits cover that.
Okay, all right. Any other general questions about the agreement?
Yeah, question just centered around the repair work. Like, it's mentioned in here that they're required to do it. I think one of the issues we've had is, do we have like details that are a part of this, or do we have details on file at the city to discuss like the standard of repair? And so one of the issues we have a lot now is, you know, just say cutting into a street. You know, they may do a patch that's not acceptable. And so how are we articulating what's required in terms of like quality of repair?
Any that kind of work would be required to restore it to the condition that was in, but that's, you know, that's standard, and sometimes it's not done, and it becomes really a question of enforcement. To what extent is the city willing and able to kind of put her foot down to insist on that?
Yeah. So this is the first one of these agreements I've seen come across. In the existing right-of-way agreements, do we have the same type of, I guess, action that we can take on the back end if repairs are not done?
We have some. I think we've kind of, working with staff, kind of beefed this up to try to address the concerns they see and be a little more proactive in addressing those issues. And when I say we modernize the agreements, that's one aspect we've tried to modernize.
Okay, so that's newer than
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll hear from your guests. Council Tate?
Quickly, Attorney Stanton, but I see it in here, the agreement including the landscaping and vegetation installed and restoration of work. That was a question that I had, because a lot of times, as my colleague said, you see a lot of this work going on and it's just left, you know, a mess.
Yeah, we cover that, and Councilor Abbott will be glad to see we've got a section just on trees by itself, so.
Okay. We often see, you know, materials left behind, and so I saw it here. Thank you.
Sure.
Good afternoon, councilors. My name is Tim Gallagher. I'm here on behalf of Unity Fiber, and I just want to say I appreciate y'all considering this franchise agreement. Unity Fiber is a little unique amongst fiber providers. They are primarily involved in long haul and middle mile fiber, not last mile residential fiber. They don't provide residential service, but they do provide service to industry and businesses. And then they also allow other providers to tie into their infrastructure to provide that last mile service. So what we've seen in a lot of areas is when Unity comes into a city, then other last mile providers will come in and also offer additional service. And then this as I think Attorney Stanley mentioned, this is a little unique. We have existing fiber through an affiliate company called Southern Light. It's an Alabama-based company that's been here since the early 2000s. And so there's no intent for new construction in the immediate term. That would be more middle and long term. And so I know there's a lot of fiber build out all over the state, and I know that's probably creating some burden for the cities, and we wouldn't be adding to that, at least immediately. And then I do want to give credit to Attorney Stanley and his staff. This is one of the more comprehensive and thorough franchise agreements that I've dealt with in Alabama. But Unity does try to pride itself on being a good corporate citizen, and so to the extent that there are concerns about repair work and making sure that when there is some type of installation and infrastructure installment, it's brought back to the state of the right-of-way is brought back to the way it was prior to. That is certainly something they endeavor to do. And I'm happy to answer any specific questions if you have any.
Where else do you guys operate?
So they're all over the state of Alabama. Southern Light, again, was a company that started in Alabama and then was purchased by Unity Group back in 2017, but still operates. And again, the intent here is that Unity Fiber Gulfco, this new franchisee, would be utilizing that same infrastructure statewide.
Okay. All right, if we don't have any other questions or comments,
I move approval.
Second.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So this will be sent to the full council with our recommendation for approval. All right.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you. Mr. Stanley, you want to talk about Lumos?
Yeah, now Loomis had planned to send a representative here. I don't see him, but I can give you some background on the company. I think they now operate in 6 states, and they do provide to the household, fast fiber service, internet service. They've just recently been expanding in Alabama. I think most of their service has been in the Carolinas and Virginia, but they've got a plan for a significant build-out throughout the county into the surrounding municipalities. The terms are the same as for the Unity Fiber agreement, same agreement, but the scope of what they do is a little bit different. They're going to be a new provider. Their expectation is to go to some areas that they say are not currently served by that level of fiber optics. So that's their plan. We don't have actual plans in front of us to verify that, but that's what they've indicated is their intent.
Okay. One of the things that has been a consideration for the council over the years is where our records of where we have telecommunications facilities. When we approve these franchise agreements, are the companies that we're licensing, do they have to provide record of where all their facilities are?
Yeah, they provide as-built drawings and then electronic form, which is something traditionally we've not had. And so there has been sometimes a lot of guesswork as to knowing, what's there, or we find it, whose it is. There are probably a good dozen old franchise agreements where the franchisees just, seemingly disappeared. They've either merged or gone out of business. And so that's been a challenge, but the new agreements, and there is much better technology to track that now. They do require, after the work is done, again, the maps, the surveys, and the electronic data showing where the lines are located.
Okay, great. All right. So I would expect that the Lumos fiber agreement is pretty much mirrors exactly the Unity fiber agreement.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I will ask if you could hit on the mechanics of guess at some point, somebody on our end is looking at gross revenues or verifying that in some form or fashion. What does that process look like?
Yeah, we have, it's been just a few years now, we actually, when we had Avenue on retainer, used them to provide an audit. That was a service they provided that I think by all accounts, they performed that well. And audited the existing agreements, were able to track down and in many cases, recover additional revenue. So we do have the right to audit it. The providers do provide statements, financial statements that we can review for that. And, to the extent our staff has the capacity, they're able to review that too. But a lot of times the formal audit requires specialization that we would contract for.
Thank you.
Well, I had a question for you, Attorney Stanley, but every time I get a question, I see what I wanted to ask. This talks about the trees, so that's been like a big issue, trees, so I'm good, I'm clear.
Okay,
All right,
go ahead.
I move we send this to full council with the recommendation to approve.
Second.
Okay, so just one last question, and I'm sure this is just a given, but the agreement, I'm sure, indemnifies the city from any potential liability, say if, there was excavation and there burst a water pipe or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a full-on regular indemnity. We've got insurance coverage. We also have a bond requirement in case, for whatever reason, the work's not repaired or not done correctly, we can draw on that bond. And then ultimately, we have the right to terminate the agreement if there's a default, which may be the strongest hammer of all once they've installed all that infrastructure.
Okay, great. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that motion is approved, and this will be advanced to the full council for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have consideration of the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority Board of Appointments. So we had application period open for several weeks for this and received a lot of interest and, some very highly qualified applicants. So the city of Birmingham has 5 appointments to the BJCTA board out of the 9-member board. We have out of those 5 that are currently serving, 3 of those board members have served 2 consecutive terms, and it's been the council's, policy to limit the appointments to 2 consecutive terms. So there are 2 members that have not met that 2-term limit yet. And those members are Willie Davis and Michelle Inman. So it would be my recommendation to the committee that those 2 individuals be reappointed. Do we have nominations for other appointments out of the applicants that we received?
Patricia Todd.
Okay.
LaShonda Baldwin.
Okay. And I would like to nominate Katie Dumas. So if there are no other nominations, do we have a motion to approve those
Move to
nominations?
close nominations and approve those 5 names.
All right,
Second.
all right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that motion passes, and we'll move forward with those recommendations to the full council. Next up, we have the Birmingham Parking Authority there is a member of the board, the city council specifically appoints all three members of the parking authority, board. And there's one, of the members whose term will be expiring this month. That individual is Lakeisha Mack. And spoken with Director Davis about Ms. Mack, and he enthusiastically recommends her reappointment. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Ms. Mack to the Parking Authority Board.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so that motion passes. Next up, we have an appointment to the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority Board. This committee also makes recommendations for the board appointments for the Port Authority. There's one vacancy currently, and I believe David Russell has recommended the appointment of Mashonda Taylor to that vacant seat. Yes, yes, I'll make a motion that we appoint Mashonda Taylor to the Jefferson County Port Authority.
Second.
All right, okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that recommendation will move forward. All right, next up, we have, our last meeting, we had some of the utilities companies come and give us some updates, and the folks from the waterworks weren't able to attend, so this time around, we have a representative with us, so glad to hear from you.
Good afternoon, council and mayor, chairman. And if I can pass these out if you don't mind.
Sure.
And I won't be long at all, but when I come, I try to give updates on things that I know impact the city. Also, if it's any items that the city would like to hear from the waterworks during these meetings, please let me know. Ms. Phillips, I'd love to have that. So I have a small presentation, I'll go through it. We'll go over just three different outcomes, our overview, our capital budget, our CIP, and also some seasonal challenges that we have as we go through the winter months that you may see and face with the water utility. There's a brief background. I always start with this because it may be several folks that are watching. We're a large utility, 5-county area, 4,000 miles of pipe, enough pipe to go to California and come back again. So very large utility, largest one in the state of Alabama. A couple of challenges that the city faced with the water utilities, particularly the city of Birmingham, only because the age of Birmingham was over 100 years old. So our pipe is that. Our cast iron and galvanized lines are your older pipe. They're not as advanced as what you have now. 30, 40 years they last in some regards, but we have some pipe in the system over 100 years old. So we've been actively engaged in replacing that during our pipeline replacement program. And just from a note, in 2019, we only replaced roughly 5 miles of pipe, but every year we've up to 15 to 17 miles of pipe. So that does decrease the amount of age infrastructure. The next slide is a couple projects I wanted to show in the different areas of town, districts. And so we use internal contractors, but we also have our internal crews as well too. I would say this, our neighbors enjoy seeing us the first 2 weeks, but they get tired of us very quickly because we are impacting quality of way of life. But we do work to try to get you and your team some ideas of where we will be to get out there quickly. Your complaint you will see quite a bit is after we're done, of course, we wait 30 days before we pave. So they have to deal with probably not a really attractive area, kind of rough driving to a certain extent. But by city rules, we can't pave until 30 days after it's completed. It has to settle. If we don't let it settle, it's like be a roller coaster going through your street. So that would be one of the major complaints we have going from there. The next line talks about a couple of projects. I would say our budget for 2025 was $115 million. It won't be that this year. It'll be roughly $50 million. So that's what we're working with right now.
Say that again?
115 million was the budget this year. Next year estimate is $50 million. Because we cannot pull bonds until certain things are worked out with the utility and lawsuits and things of that nature. So that's the challenge we have right now for this particular year.
Are y'all on track to spend that?
115? No, because we kind of had to stop once modifications occurred. Right now, we're at about 66 million. I think we may get to about 70 or so because we do have projects already started. What will not happen, we won't stop the pipeline replacement program. Whether it's external crews, we have 3 internal crews, so we'll continue to be replacing pipe. Probably not at the level, but we'll continue to replace pipe until we can get out of 2026 and see what the future holds. I do want to show a couple items here. Lead and copper rule, I know there's a lot of discussion about that. I'm only here to report the facts of certain things. As you know, during the money that came from the federal government to build back Birmingham during COVID period. The good thing about with lead and copper rule is it's no different than your home. You go through your closet, you determine what you can and cannot wear, you do inventory, and you get rid of it. Same thing with lead, is age, is old, so you have to determine what you have, and you have to get rid of it. The great thing about it is the federal government has earmarked certain money, so it's not a totally unfunded mandate. So what you see up there is you see the 2022, 2024, and 2025 year of allocation will have a certain amount of principal forgiveness. Now, what does that mean for us and our community is that the average person is not going to have funds to replace their lines. So the full replacement is from the main to the meter to your house. So a homeowner, you can pay anywhere between $3,000 to $8,000 to replace your pipe, depending on how long that service line. And as you know, some are only 50 foot away from the house, right? But some folks' home are back in the woods, so over 100 foot. So that they count that as the total replacement. So if we can offer an opportunity through the SRF loan, it is helpful. Now, the law doesn't state that the utility has to. They just said that it has to be an opportunity or a way to do that. But this will help the utility to help our community as well, too. A little bit about it. The lead and copper rule is by 2027, once we so-called or to start, which we have started prior, we have to 2037 to complete, period. That's the time you're given. We have to do a lot of sampling of elementary schools, so it's continuous sampling the entire 10 years, but at the same time, the goal they have mandated is 2037 December.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question about that. So it's my understanding that the board had a meeting Monday or Tuesday earlier this week, right? Is that right?
No, it was changed. So initially put out there, it hasn't been canceled, so the meeting will be October 20th.
Okay, so are these loan allocations, the Water Authority has requested that the city of Birmingham underwrite or guarantee loans, and we've agreed to do that with certain stipulations according to what I've been told by the city attorney's office. So the board has not yet considered whether to agree to those.
Correct. So the board has not met on that
Okay,
currently right now,
all
so
right, all right, thanks.
you're correct. A few more slides. Wintertime, when November, December start, our temperatures get down to about 10, 16. As everyone can recall, we had a break January 9th, and we had also a break in the Inslee area, which I'm originally from, in January 22, right? So do want to keep in mind that those are our tough months, that December all the way to March. We've had to change a few operational things. I do want to say this as well to council. If a leak is running on the weekend, we do send an inspector. If it can wait, we will not do that until Monday. So I just want to be clear on that piece. Now, if it's an emergency, we'll repair it. But we're trying to look at our finances and things of that nature, our budget, prevent against overruns. And if we roll a truck every time a leak hits, even on the weekend, you're paying for overtime and a lot of other things. So we're trying to keep our rates down as well too. So those are things we kind of modified. And last couple of things, we work well with the City of Birmingham Transportation Department, James Fowler. We meet regularly with him to talk about any type of patches we have in the area, determine if they're water related or another utility. So we work well with them. One thing we modified roughly 2 years ago, as you know, a plumber will work in your roads on Saturdays when no one's at work to get away from certain permitting, right? For us, if you needed a tap, we will not perform the tap unless we see the excavation permit from you guys. That would makes it for sure that they have got their proper credentialing and you're aware. So those are some of the things we worked with the City of Birmingham and to help out when it comes to that. And these are a couple of examples. This is not the City of Birmingham. Bottom line of it, if we dig, we have to restore it a certain type of way, right? So these are a couple of examples on the next size, page 10, and a couple of examples would happen in Homewood and Pleasant Grove. So no different than any other city. They have code requirements for asphalt and how to restore that back in areas. And that's all I have now. Any questions for me?
So I see in here that the budget for paving for the current fiscal year was increased, is that correct?
2025, it was increased.
Okay.
It was increased.
Are you guys still in the current fiscal year? I mean, are you in the 2025?
Yeah,
fiscal
we're still
year?
in current fiscal year. Yeah, so from January to December is our fiscal year.
Okay, all right, got it.
But again, 2026, we'll be working with roughly about 50 million. So the goal is to reduce some of our internal capital projects and leave enough money for city-related projects, pipes and things of that nature. So we have to be mindful of that during this time.
Yeah, so I would imagine staff is preparing the proposal for the next fiscal year budget.
Correct. Correct. We had a workshop on, I want to say, was it Thursday? It was last week. We had a workshop on, no, Monday, actually Monday. We had one at noon on Monday. And so it was a preliminary workshop. Yeah, so we probably have a couple more.
Okay, all right. Any questions from the committee?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Well, your team makes sure. We have to dig it right back up if it's not right. So. Yeah, well, thank you for that.
Yeah, one just sort of random question. So, in my various comings and goings and talking to people that do water utility work, I've heard about a technology that can detect water leaks by monitoring essentially sound waves or so, you know, whenever there's a hole in the pipe, it almost produces like a whistle. Do you guys use that on any of the mains or anything?
Yeah, so we have multiple technology we use. Typical one is just a regular sound detection on your valves, where we have a correlator where you can detect from valve to valve and then tell you print off a graph to show you the pinpoint leak as well too. We're also looking into some thermal detection as well too, and that's more so from a large area standpoint, to see if there's some water that may be on your end of your system, and you use a lot of like infrared for that. So we have technology we use when it comes to that as well too. Our issue, and AMI eventually, whenever that is put in place, and that's automated meter reading versus the manual, it can give some sound detection as well too on that block. But again, that's down the road from a budgetary standpoint, but we utilize sound detection and wave detection for currently, and we've been doing that for probably the last 15 or so years.
Great.
Our biggest thing is the old pipe is past its useful life, it needs to be replaced, and that's causing the issue. Last thing I'll land on this, I know the city of Birmingham has a very aggressive asphalt plan, restoration plan. We do work with the city to ask them to not do certain streets because we know that we're gonna replace it. So having a brand-new street and then a leak occur, your neighbors are not that happy. It'll be a little bit challenging in 2026 because our budget is limited, so we can't, you guys can put more asphalt on the ground than we can put pipe.
Right.
It doesn't take as much to do in that regard, so 2026 may be a little bit challenging for us, but we are still working with the city to see what things we can partner on. But it's been a great partnership.
You reminded me of something, and I'll just ask you about a very specific issue. So, 49th Street and 6th Avenue South in the Crestwood North neighborhood, it was one of those streets that was included in our most recent paving package, and there were some, there was a water main that ended up leaking as, it coincided with that paving project.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask if that situation had been totally resolved. So,
Let me verify. It was 49th Street and what now?
49th Street South and 6th Avenue South.
I'll verify and I can
Okay, all right.
communicate back with you. And that's what it is the bottom line of it. Once the equipment get out there and start vibrating, old pipe is gonna cause a leak. It's unfortunate with that, but we get work to try to get ahead of that, but I'll get our team to look at this up and I'll send you something on that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any new or old business we need to discuss? All right.